Welcome everyone to Doga Yoga. My name is Melody and this is Merlin, and today we're super excited to bring a longer class to you, no stealing the strap, a beautiful 60-minute full body vinyasa morning flow to really wake us up for the day, the week, the month, the year ahead, to bring on 2021. So for today, before Merlin tries to steal them, I would love for you to have two props handy. One, a book or a block, just to bring the ground a little closer to us. Not essential, but really great, especially if you're a beginner. I'll be giving options to how to integrate that into your class. And also a strap or a dog lead, something to make our arms a little longer, as long as Merlin doesn't steal it before we get to use it. Leave it, good boy. So we're gonna come into seated today. Now, if seated cross-legged is a little tough on your hips, and for a lot of us it is, we haven't done it for a really long time, grab the block or a book, pop it underneath your hips. Hey puppy. We're gonna extend one leg if that feels good for you as well, just to get your spine nice and long. Get the shoulder blades down the back. Imagine there's a string pulling you up nice and high. Place one hand on one knee, one hand on the other. Close down our eyes for a little bit. And just welcome yourself onto the mat and into your practice today. Inhale, feel the belly, the ribs, the collarbones. And exhale, release. Let go of the thoughts of the future, let go of the thoughts of the past, and allow yourself to be on your mat. Give yourself permission to be in the here and now. Start to notice the physical sensations with the rise and fall of your breath. Notice the feel of the expansion and lightness of the body, filling up ourselves with oxygen. And notice any tension you can release, any stiffness you can release as we exhale and let go. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. When we're ready, we're going to grow really tall. Take a big arm circle up overhead, fingertips touch. Really nice and luxurious for our first arm circle today. And exhale, bring our hands back to heart center. So we'll do a few more of those. Inhale, really savor the sensation. Bring in the new day's energy. Fingertips touch. Back to heart center. Inhale, your gaze can follow your fingertips if that feels good for your neck. And exhale, back to heart center. Inhale. And exhale. Take a few more at your own pace. You might close down the eyes, really savoring the sensation. When we're ready, we'll all take one more big arm circle together. Reach up high, fingertips touch, and bring them back to our heart. We're going to bring our chin towards our chest here. Our lips almost meet our fingers. Our shoulder blades are still down the back. The spine is still nice and long. And just gently release here. Notice any tension we're holding in the neck and the shoulders. You might like to rock the neck side to side, gently waking up. Ironing out any kinks, any tension. If you slept funny on your neck last night, like I did. And when we're ready, we're going to come on up nice and tall once more. Just going to place our hands on our knees. You might like to have the palms facing upwards to really help get the shoulder blades down the back. We're going to bring our left ear to our left shoulder. Send our gaze high to the sky. And just breathe here for 3 breaths. Really feel the nice stretch in the front of the neck. And when we're ready, we're going to keep our head tilted, but just send our gaze and our nose towards our shoulder and hold here for 3 breaths. When you're ready, nose and gaze towards the sky and breathe. Nose and gaze towards our shoulder. Take a few more of these at your own pace. You might like to really hold in a specific position where you might find a little bit of resistance. It might not feel good for your neck doing this today, so just practice ahimsa. Do no harm to yourself or others. Move in a way that is challenging, but always feeling comfortable in your own body, never in pushing ourselves to that point of pain. When we're all ready, we're going to come back to center. Just grow really tall and bring that right ear to the right shoulder. Nose and gaze goes up towards the sky. Hold here for 3 breaths. And bring our nose and our gaze towards our shoulder, keeping that head tilted. Nose and gaze to the sky. Nose and gaze to the shoulder. Take a few more at your own pace. You might move quite a bit, or you might just hold a static position, and that means just holding a specific position that feels really good for you. So just play waking up the body here. After a hopefully really restful night's sleep. I had a funny night's sleep last night. I slept in a very strange, weird position, having funny dreams. It's so funny how our mental state, our dreams affect our physical state. When we're ready, we're going to come on up, lengthen our spine, really find beautiful kind of a length. Imagine there's a string at the top of our head pulling us higher. We're going to send our hands behind us and just interlace our knuckles and our lower back. Really open up the chest here. We've woken up the neck. We've started on the shoulders and really going to get into the chest and the thoracic now, waking up our body bit by bit. So your gaze can be high to the sky or just in front. Imagine we're opening up the collarbones, showing off a nice necklace that we're wearing. And just breathe. If you'd like to go on, you might lift the knuckles, see if you can send them towards the back of the room. Oh, it feels really good, huh? You might wriggle a little bit if you've got like a little kind of niggle that you want to massage out. And when we're ready, we're going to release our hands and we're going to plant our fingers on the ground behind us and really just open up our chest here. Beautiful. When we're ready, I'm going to mirror you. We're going to pick up our left hand, just arch it over to the sky and then on to that opposite knee. So find length in the sky. Imagine that string pulling us up into the sky, and then exhale, revolving towards the side of the room. So we're really just getting into a nice spinal twist here, revolving our thoracic spine, so that kind of upper back. Our gaze can be towards the side of the room, or we can send our gaze over that back shoulder if our neck feels good in that space. And when we're ready, we're going to take our hand off our knee, arch ourselves back, so reach these fingers to the sky once more, and take the hands behind us. We're going to interlace the hands at our lower backs and the knuckles towards the ground. An optional extra here, fold forward. Send the forehead towards the ground, knuckles towards the sky. Really nice release. You might rock side to side here. You might just be releasing. Come on back. Fingers touch the ground. Now our mirroring you, right hand goes high to the sky, arch it over. Place that hand on the knee. Imagine that string pulling us high to the sky from the crown of our head, and then revolve. Nice spinal twist on the other side. Shoulder blades melt down the back. Gaze towards the side of the room or over that back shoulder if it feels good for our neck. And just enjoying our breath. Enjoying that rise and fall, the filling up, bringing in new energy, and just letting go. Preparing ourselves, energizing ourselves, filling up our cup for the day ahead. Right. Now this front hand on the knee arches over once more. Open up our chest. Whew. We're going to sweep our hands around and come into a tabletop position. So come on over. Move your block to one side. Move your strap to one side. And just find your tabletop. You can tuck or untuck your toes. Really spread our fingers. And I want us to kind of have movement-free time here. Wake up the body. Wriggle the hips side to side. Wriggle out the shoulders. Take barrel rolls with the ribs. Just work out any tension that is kind of building up or kind of built up overnight, and let's release it so we can have a beautiful, free, energizing day ahead. When we're ready, we're going to come into child's pose. So sink our hips back towards our heels, forehead towards the ground just for a moment. We're going to pick up our forehead, walk our fingers towards the right and sink ourselves back down. Nice side body stretch. Really waking us up for the day ahead. This is really nice, especially if we're sitting at a computer desk. We don't really get into our ribs this way all that often. When we're ready, pick up our forehead, walk our hands all the way to the other side, drop it down. Side body stretch on the other side. When you're ready, come back to center. We're all going to tuck our toes under and gently walk our way up into a toe squat. So we're going to walk our hands towards our knees. For beginners, blocks are really handy to balance here, 1 or 2, or even a coffee table, highly recommend. We're going to balance onto our toes, so zip tie our knees together. So beginners, you might have your block here to help you balance, or a coffee table, super handy. You might have your hands on the ground as well if you don't have a block. And so we can be here, here, or if we've got our balance, we can place our hands on our knees, shoulder blades down the back. Woo! No hands, mum. And find that kind of place of challenge but ease, that center point. Zip tie the legs together a little tighter, feel the glutes activate. We're going to really push into our thighs and shoot ourselves up. Reach our hands up overhead, little back bend, and bring our hands back to heart center as we come up to the top of our mat. 2 breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. On our next inhale, take a beautiful big arm circle up overhead, fingertips touch. And exhale, take the hands wide, hinge at the hips, come on down halfway. Inhale, bend the knees, roll on up, hello baba. Big arm circle up overhead, fingertips touch. Exhale, hinge at the hips, come on down, half or 3/4 of the way. Oh, the strap is stolen. Inhale, rise on up, big arm circle up overhead, fingertips touch. And exhale, swan dive, fold forward. We're going to move like this for quite a few breaths, so just flow with the movement. Inhale, bend the knees, roll, rise on up, big arm circle up overhead, fingertips touch. Exhale, fold. Waking up the hips, waking up the thighs, waking up the calves as we start to get into a little bit more movement, a little bit more energizing practice today. And when we're ready, hinge at the hips, fold forward all the way so your knees can be super bent. Beginners, you can have your block in front of you. If you can't get your hands to touch the ground, bring the ground closer to you. Have your hands on a block, or you can use your shins or have them wrapped behind, grabbing your calves. So find your version. You might like to start straightening the legs if that feels available to you, keeping the spine nice and long. And we're just going to really let the head, neck, and shoulders release here. So shake the head, yes and no. Really melt the shoulders, the jaw. Take a big breath and just feel yourself lengthen a little more. Wherever we are, we're just going to start to bend one knee and then straighten the other, or attempt to straighten the other, your version. Gently waking up the hamstrings. You'll definitely feel it in the calves maybe as well. Just getting a little bit of movement, hey Merlin, into our legs as we come on to the other parts of class. When we're ready, we're going to plant our hands, step all the way back to a full or half plank. So you can drop down to the knees, definite option here. We'll come into full plank. And we're just going to have a few options here. So option one is to just push yourself back into child's pose, forehead touches the earth, and then coming forward. Or option two is full plank, coming up into downward facing dog. So we're gently going to flow through whatever variation feels good for our bodies today. Sending our hips back and coming forward, shooting the crown of the head towards the front of the mat. And pushing the hips back and away, shoulder blades down the back wherever we are. Crown of the head forward, nice and long, shoulders away from the ears. And push back. Shoulders away from the ears. And push back. Take your time, just enjoying the movement, enjoying the stretch, the energy in the core, in the shoulders. And when we're ready, on our next one, we'll all meet in our plank or half plank. We're going to lower down to the mat with control, untuck our toes, and just walk our hands forward, spider fingers. Really zip tie the legs together, point the toes towards the back of the room. Inhale, we're going to rise on up into a cobra variation. Feels really good. Your elbows can be going out wide, or you can have straight elbows if that's available to you. Now exhale, just lower. You can tap your forehead towards the earth if you like. Yogi's choice, you don't have to come all the way down. Inhale, rise. Lower. Inhale, rise. And lower. Up and down. Move at your own pace. Just enjoy the sensation. You might like to stay at the top for a few breaths. So just find how this fits in with your practice today, with how it fits in with filling up your cup, energizing for the day, the week, the year ahead. And when we're ready, we're going to all take one more and then walk our hands underneath our shoulders. We're going to tuck our toes under. We're all going to come into that half or full plank. Tuck our toes under, and we're all going to come into our downward facing dog. So send the hips up and away. You might like to shorten your stance, or you might need to widen it to just find your first, potentially, downward facing dog today. So really make sure we're pressing into all 5 fingertips so the weight's being spread evenly. You might even rock side to side to notice this. Start to send the tailbone really high to the sky, melt the shoulder blades down the back. Your gaze is going towards your knees. So the spine is nice and long. We're kind of trying to reach our tailbone to the sky. Imagine there's a string pulling it up and the crown of the head's pointing towards the earth. Our ears are in line with our biceps, so we might want to squeeze our biceps in towards our ears a little bit more. You might like to start to straighten the legs and just pedal it out. So bend one knee and then the other. one knee and then the other. Gently warming up the hips, warming up the hamstrings, the calves. Now options here, we can just get this right foot through in between our hands and just start lifting it up. You might just start to gently walk it through, getting it through your hands, or if you'd like to go on, you can kick that heel to the sky, really, really reach it up. Bring our knee towards our nose and get it through in between our hands. We're going to lower down onto our back knee for the first one. Our left hand comes onto our block or the ground, and our right hand comes to our right knee. Gentle spinal twist here. Really sink the hips down, gaze goes high, beautiful release. Just breathe into this for a few breaths. The body's natural tension is to kind of like, lock up. So just sink into it, feel that release. It comes after those first few breaths, I promise. You might like to reach that right hand to the sky as an addition, or even take a bind, wrapping it around and grabbing the back thigh. When we're ready, we're all going to release. I'm going to frame this front foot, pick up this back foot and step on up into our forward fold. Inhale, we're going to come up into our first halfway lift. So hands come to the top of the knees, push away, nice straight spine, shoulder blades down the back. And exhale, lower. Wake up the body, make sure we really are energized for the day. So we'll do that 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Nice long spine, crown of the head points forward. And lower and release. Beautiful work. We're going to plant the hands, step ourselves back either into that half or full plank. Find your version, and we're going to come back into either child's to half plank or full plank into downward facing dog. So flow here for a few breaths, really waking up the shoulders, waking up the core. And when we're ready, we'll meet in our plank position or half plank position, lower down to the ground, hitting my plant here. Untuck the toes, and we'll just come into a normal cobra this time. So hands underneath our shoulders, really push into our big toes, our hips, lift our chest up. So you can come into baby cobra, chest just comes up a little bit. You can push into the hands, keep the elbows bent, gaze high, into a full cobra. When you're ready, lower down. I'm going to come into downward facing dog. So you can come through child's pose if that feels nice for you, or you can push up to plank, or get here however you can. And then we're going to come into that lunge on the other side. So you might like to just step this left foot through in between your hands, or you might like to kick it high to the sky. Bring your knee towards your nose, get that foot in between your hand and lower down your back knee. Now right hand can be on the ground or on our block, gently twisting, opening. Hand can be on that knee if you'd like as well. Or we can take the bind. Sink the hips. Take that time. It will release if you let it, if you find that little bit of softness. Releasing our hip flexors so they don't lock up when we're sitting all day. And when we're ready, we're going to release. Put that block to the side if you've got your hand on it. We're going to lift our back knee up, and we're going to come back into a plank or half plank position. Everyone make their way through to downward facing dog. Now you can be still here, you can pedal out the feet, you can find what works for you. And when we're ready, we're going to go through a flow. So roll forward to plank or half plank. Lower down, chaturanga. And tuck the toes, press into hands, come into baby or full cobra. And lower. Tuck the toes, come into either child's pose or push up to plank. However you like, find your way into your downward facing dog. When you're ready, push into that left foot. We're going to lift these right toes off the ground. Once more, we're going to get this foot in between our hands. So you can just do that, or extra option to kick that heel high towards the sky first. Bring the knee towards our nose. Get that foot in between our hands. Now we're not going to lower this back knee down this time. We're in a high lunge. So we're going to really activate the core. Roll on up. Now our hands might be on our knee here, and if you do need to lower down, try it. And if we're here, send our hands high to the sky. Beautiful. Now we're really just going to center here. Send that back heel away. Square the hips off. Make sure we can see our front big toe. Melt the shoulder blades down the back and breathe. Really imagine there's a string attached to that back thigh, lifting that back knee and thigh higher. When we're ready, left hand forward, right hand back, twist and smile. Beautiful. Come into twisted reverse warrior. Place this back hand on this back knee. Lift this front hand up. Beautiful. And when you're ready, come back to your twist and hands back overhead. Take them wide. Clasp them at the lower back. Open up the chest. And sink the hands down, or release. And sink the hands down, frame the foot, and lower this knee down to release. Coming back into our lunge. So instead of a twist time, this time we're just coming into a standard lunge. Sink the hips down, gaze up. And for beginners, block, super handy to bring the ground closer to you here. And when we're ready, we're going to walk our hips back. Toes flex towards our face, coming into a half split. So the block can come with you if we need. And lengthen our spine wherever we are. We're just going to fold over this leg. So we don't have to curve our spine to try and get our nose towards our knee. We want to be nice and long and then fold. And trust me, you'll feel it deeper in this hip anyway. Wiggle these toes side to side if that feels good for you. Feel a nice sensation in the hip. All the little connective muscles that we don't realize are so important, but really are. And when you're ready, walk on down, back into that lunge. Really nice. I'm going to tuck our back toes under, lift that back knee up. Lots and lots of little steps. We'll take one big step up into a forward fold. Bend the knees, hello Bubba, as much as you need to release here. Grab the elbows here for ragdoll, really relax and just rock side to side here. Let out any tension in the lower back. Before we place our hands and our shins, come on up, halfway lift, hello Bubba, and lower. We'll do that 2 more, come on up. And lower. Come on up. And lower. Beautiful. We're going to plant our hands, step ourselves back to our plank or half plank. And just go for 5 seconds, either into child's pose and half plank, or downward facing dog and full plank. We're going for 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Lower. Come in to your cobra variation. And back down to the ground. And make your way up into downward facing dog however you can get there. Beautiful. And we're going to send that left foot in between our hands. So you can start stepping it up now. Or if you'd like to continue on, sending that heel towards the sky, knee towards nose, and then getting that foot through, you can. Now we're going to try and not lower this back knee. Really push that back heel away. Core is on, rise on up. Hands high to the sky. You can lower that back knee if you need. Into high lunge. We're just going to hold here. Really find our center. Push that back heel away. Imagine there's a string pulling that back thigh to the sky. Just gaze down, see if you can see your front big toe. Make sure that knee is not tracking in. And breathe. Send the right hand forward, left hand back, twist. Twisted reverse warrior. Push that back heel away. Core is on. Come back to your twist. And hands high to the sky. Take them wide, clasp them at the lower back. Knuckles towards the ground. Gaze high and release. Release the hands, sweep them down. Frame your front foot. Front foot meets the back. And go through your flow. Plank, chaturanga, untuck the toes. Come up into your version of cobra. And lower. Come up into downward facing dog, however you like. Big breath here and soften. Big breath here and soften. So we're going to go straight away to the other side once more. So right foot's going to come in between our hands, or we can send that heel up. Get it there in one big step. Beautiful. And we're going to rotate. So we're going to send our hands, walk them around towards the left. So we're going to face the left long edge of the mat, toes face that side. Find a big length in the spine here, halfway lift. And for those beginners, grab your block, bring the ground closer to you if your fingers can't touch the ground. And then exhale, fold forward. So crown of the head's pointing towards the earth. Spine is nice and straight. Hands underneath shoulders as we release. When we're ready, come on up, halfway lift. And we're going to fold forward once more. So we're going to flow here a bit. Halfway lift. And lower. Halfway lift. And lower. Halfway lift. And lower. Take a few more at your own pace. Just enjoying the sensations, the wake up of the body. Before we come on up for our final halfway lift, and then really sink and release. We're going to walk our hands in between our legs, so reach towards the opposite edge of your mat to get a little deeper, or you might be like, yeah, Melody, not happening. So just keep your hands where they are if this isn't feeling or isn't vibing for you. Just relax any tension in the jaw and neck. We hold so much tension here, so just release. When we're ready, gently come on up to that halfway lift once more. We're going to walk ourselves back around towards the front of the mat. Plant our hands and go through our flow. Plank, chaturanga. You might like to come into your upward dog instead of your cobra this time. Then make your way back into your downward facing dog, however you would like. So straight away to the other side. Left foot through, in between our hand. And turn ourselves, walk ourselves to the right edge of the mat. Find the length in the spine and fold. Length and fold. Length and fold. Length and fold. Take your time here, just moving at your own pace. And when we're ready, we're going to come up halfway lift, place our hands on our hips and rise on up all the way. Beautiful. So we're going to play is sinking into our Skandasana or our side squat, side to side. So we're going to kick, I'm going to mirror you, right toes up and bend into our left knee, sinking our hips down. So we might be able to come all the way, our hands might come to the mat, that heel might come off, that's fine. Squeeze this kneecap, really activate that thigh and send those toes towards our face. Really nice. And then we're going to gently walk our hands over and switch to the other side. So we're going to push into that left foot, plant our right foot down, lift the left toes and sink the hips down. Beautiful. Really nice work. You're doing amazing. So just find that beautiful hip opening here. If you can feel it in your inner groin and your hip, it's where we want. And if you're feeling it, doesn't matter what it looks like. Everyone's pose looks different. So when we're ready, we're going to switch to the other side. Open up. Switch. Switch. Hello, Ale. Hello, Baba. Hello. And switch. So you might like to hold the side. Oh, both of the dogs are coming in. Hello, Merlin. Hold one side for a while. Really savor the release. You might like to open your arms up wide, really getting a beautiful spinal twist at the same time before you switch to the other. And if your heel doesn't touch the ground, guys, completely fine. My ankles just don't either as well. The range of motion just isn't there in them naturally. So just find what feels good. When we're ready, we're all going to place our hands in the ground and we're gently going to come up into that wide-legged fold forward. So push into that bottom foot, plant both feet down, find our halfway lift and fold. Really nice release. We're going to turn ourselves back to the top of the mat. Send that back knee down and we're going to come into our pigeon pose. So we're going to heel toe this foot over, the left foot over behind our right wrist and lay this knee down behind our left wrist. So coming into this nice right angle. If this is too much for you, walk this heel closer towards the groin. Gently pick up this back leg, walk it back as far as you need to get comfy. And if you feel like you're kind of like toppling over because this other glute isn't getting on the ground, blocks, my friends, get it underneath there, bring the ground closer to you. So come up onto the fingertips, really find length, and you just might stay here. This is a really beautiful release. Or if you'd like to go on, walk down onto the forearms, or bring the forehead down to the earth, extending the arms. So just focus on your inhale and exhale, really expanding the body, expanding that hip with each breath. Hello, Baba. Hello. You might be getting attacked by your dogs. Give them a pat. Enjoy the time being on their level for a bit. When we're ready, we're gently going to walk on up. We're going to swap to the other side. So tuck that back toe under, really press into the hands, and we're just gently going to push ourselves back into our downward facing dog. You might like to walk the dog, pedal the feet. Before you pick this right foot up, you can kick the heel to the sky if you want a little extra. And we're going to get our right knee behind our right wrist, our left foot behind our left wrist, and then walk this leg back. So remember, if the heel is closer to the groin, the less the stretch you get. So come up onto the fingertips. We can grab that block to have it under our glute if we need. And then walk ourselves forward. You can come onto the forearms. You can turn your palms up. I really find that a beautiful sense of surrender. Or you can extend the arms all the way, getting the forehead on the ground. So just take your time. Find that expansion, filling up that hip with beautiful space and energy. And exhale, just letting go of any tension. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And release. Take your time. Enjoy. Notice the difference side to side here. And when we're ready, we're gently going to come on up. Tuck our back toes under. Take that block out from underneath our hip. Come back into a downward facing dog. Whew. So really notice this dog compared to your first one for today. See where you're a little more open. When we're ready, we're going to bend our knees, look towards our hands, really pull back and take lots of little steps with as straight as legs as we can, getting our feet towards our hands, coming into a forward fold at the top of the mat. I'm going to inhale, come on up, halfway lift, and fold. Heel toe our feet a little bit wider than our hips, just to the edges of the mat. We're going to sink down into a squat. So if you haven't done a squat before, if your hips are not quite sure that they're ready for it, grab the block and use that as a seat. We're going to sink our hips down. We can either sit on the block, or we can come off the block and stick the hips all the way down. Now your toes might be off the ground. Just use your hands to balance here. And if your heels get down, bring your palms together, knees press in, or elbows press into the knees, and spine is nice and long. So crown of the head pointing towards the sky, tailbone pointing towards the ground. Close down the eyes and just really breathe into this space. Notice the sensations that are coming up for you in each hip, in each knee, in each glute. What's coming up emotionally? How's your breath responding to this posture? Just take it all in without judgment. And we're ready. We're going to plant our hands down and simply rock on back, coming into a seated position. And we're going to zip tie our legs together. We're going to balance on our sacrum here, point our toes forward, or actually option. Take our toes towards the ground, grabbing the backs of our thighs and just lengthening the spine here. So just coming into boat before we get back onto the mat. So option is here, really focusing on activating the core. We can lift the toes, point them like laser beams, point them to the side of the room. You can release your thighs, have the hands beside the body. And we're going to lower and lift here. So lower down really, really slowly if you like. Then come on up. 2 more like that. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Just because it's so fun, we're going to do 1 more. Lower and lift on up. Beautiful. Grab your feet. Send your knees wide. Grab your feet here. Bring your heels in towards your groin. You might be like, Melody, this is a little bit silly. So just find how you go. You might have to put 1 foot on the ground here. We're just going to play extending 1 leg, bringing it back in, extending the other leg, and bringing it back in. 1 and 2. 1 more. Each side. And release. Place the feet on the ground and we're in a butterfly pose already. Great transition. Get our hands onto our shins, lengthen the spine here. Really nice. And then we're just going to fold forward. So we're going to walk our hands forward and just release. Let ourselves sink down and toward the earth. Breathe into this space. Notice what comes up into the thighs here. Hello, Bubba. When we're ready, we're all going to come on up. We're going to bring our knees together and we're going to roll onto our backs. So we're going to come into a supported bridge here. So if you have that block, book, pillow, whatever you like handy, really, really nice just to elevate the hips a little bit. Have the feet hip distance apart. Send the hips or send the waistband to the sky. And just place your block or book under your hips at what level suits you. So that can be the smallest level, the mid-level, or if you're feeling quite open, you can go to the highest level. So just in that place between our tailbone and our lower back is our sacrum. You'll find that really bony, secure spot. So if you put it there, it'll feel really good. And just let the hands flop out to the side. Inhale, fill the belly, the ribs, the collarbones rise. And exhale, just allow the body to release. Feel the body become heavy. Feel the body become soft. As you start to soften, your knees might flop out to the side. Your jaw might relax open. Your shoulders might melt further into the earth below. When you're ready, if your knees have flopped out to the side, just bring them back in line with your hips. Push into our feet, lift our hips high, take that block out and just roll down super slowly, vertebra by vertebra. Oh, so nice. I'm going to bring our knees into our chest, give ourselves a big hug here, rock side to side. Before extending out and finding our Savasana today. Palms facing up, feet flopping out wide. And just allowing ourselves this moment of complete stillness, silence, and peace. When you're ready, flutter open the eyes and the arms up above your head. Wriggle the fingers, wriggle the toes, roll the wrists and ankles. And come on over onto a side that suits you, using your arm as a pillow. When we're ready, we're gently going to open our eyes, come up into a seated position. I think Merlin's just off camera, but he's enjoying the strap that he's stolen from our today's class. We'll take a big arm circle all together, up overhead, fingertips touch, and bring them back to heart center. Take a few moments here, just noticing the body, noticing the breath, and thanking yourself for turning up on your mat today, for making the choice to fill up your cup, for energizing, for renewing, and creating something new. Giving you lots of love and gratitude, beautiful yogis. Namaste.